Welcome back, OPL fans. Week 5, Day 2, Lunar New Year Super Week, brought to you by Hungry Jacks. Chiefs Esports Club getting ready on stage to take on new challenges.
Yeah.
Avant Gaming. Avant, the last couple of weeks, really starting to spice it up. Since that loss versus the Chiefs 2-0, I feel like they've kicked it into another gear.
Yeah, 100%. AV used to be like kind of the benchmark team. You used to say specifically about their bot lane, but I feel like they've turned around and they've become the sin. They're the upset team. Legacy twice. I mean, I was favoring Legacy in those games, but now they just look good.
Legacy apologist Ejim, once again striking.
What, you can't just say Chiefs apologist, Legacy apologist.
Everyone
Order just one. Am I an Order apologist? Like, what do you mean?
Not at all. No order bias in this
I also
studio.
played for AV, Avant Ascension.
You
before
did,
it turned
actually.
to Legacy. Am I an AV apologist?
No, not at all. You're a good, clean. As we have a look at the TVG lineup, it's going to be Avant taking on Chiefs, as we said. I think when we have a look at this game, we have to really think about how Avant stumbled in the early games versus Legacy, and honestly, probably only got back into the game because of Legacy's inability to execute on a Baron.
Yeah, that's the thing. The games yesterday, they were a win for AV, but honestly, Legacy handed them Baron 2 games in a row. Legacy, notably, not a good early game team for the most part. Oh, no. Actually, no, I'll actually rephrase that. Not a bad early game team, but a very slow early game team. So AV struggling early game against that kind of doesn't make a lot of sense. And then against Chiefs, they did win in this matchup because this is a rematch. We saw it earlier in the split. They did win early game against the Chiefs, but stylistically, you're like, that's kind of a bit of a mismatch. It kind of shouldn't happen that way.
Yeah, it certainly shouldn't. However, I think the reason it does happen is because Pabu versus Mimic seems to be quite even in the laning phase, with Mimic able to step up. He actually won a lot of those laning phases, whereas Pabu versus Swiper went heavily in Pabu's favor. And I think that's where they generated a lot of their gold lead, because Chiefs bottom lane doesn't play to smash lane. Even though Destiny said they're one of the most aggressive lanes out there, I think that they played a team fight, and the fact that Pabu was playing so hard to crush top lane really showed.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely what we need to look into today. In terms of the head-to-head Pabu versus Swiper, we've seen that Nah versus Ornn matchup a few times now, and that's, as you mentioned, where they got their huge lead from, but it was the 4 from Avant that kind of fumbled in that matchup there, and Swiper just found it so incredibly easy to TP around the map, like pick up these engages, and it was kind of off the back of Ryoma in the mid lane, Tommy on that Talia into something like the Galio, on the Azir actually. Just had so much control, picks up early kills, and then the AV just don't really have an avenue. Yeah,
and Frey needs to be another player to step up. However, to get their thoughts on this matchup, let's throw it over to Laura and Carbon.
Thank you very much, guys. Yes, we're into our second day of the series, Carbon. The Chiefs going up against Avant. As the casters just said on the desk, the last time these two teams met, the Chiefs won 2-0. But the Chiefs had Fantic subbing in for Raze, and Avant also had Brucey as their coach instead of Charlie. What are your thoughts and predictions on this?
I think Ray's playing is a really big deal. I think Fantix is a great player, of course, but he's not an AD carry. And I think Raze and Destiny have been working together for a few weeks now, and they would have been working together in the off-season as well. So I'm expecting big things out of them today. Destiny's looked really good the last couple of weeks. I've been really impressed with his play, and I'm expecting another big day today.
What do you think the prediction for this series is going to be with all that in mind?
Tough one to call. I mean, I'm going to go out on a bit of a limb. I think Chiefs 2-0. I'm not going to give AV that game. I think AV versus us yesterday didn't look great in the early game, and I feel like Chiefs are going to be a little bit better than we were at executing on the mid game. So I'm going to give it to Chiefs 2-0.
Spicing it up with a 2-0 prediction, I'm going to give this 2-1 to the Chiefs. I think Avant will be able to pick up a game. But if you would like to make your own predictions at home, head on over to opltips.com.au, where you can win yourself a bunch of prizes. We've got XP boosts and RP prizes up for grabs. And if you like Hungry Jacks, you can pick yourself up a $25, $50 or $100 Hungry Jacks voucher. For more information on the competition and how you can enter, make sure you do head on over to the website at opltips.com.au. Thank you once again for your thoughts, Carbon. But to get this second series underway, let's hand it over to Jake and Bryce.
Thanks so much. So unanimously, one more time, Chiefs going to be able to pick up this series. And I think if they are going to do it, we have to put a microscope on Swiper. Swiper, a player that himself has said feels so much more comfortable on the Nah. However, when he is on other champion picks at the moment, it seems like there is a big discrepancy between his play.
Yeah, 100%. We can see that here. We see 4 games played on the Nah in total, and then 6 on other things. So there's not like there's a big discrepancy in terms of matches played. It's like pretty comparable, but his KDA actually goes from about 4.8, almost 5, to like 2.7. That is a significant drop off. His next best, I've actually talked to him personally because he's played Camille a few times, and he says his next best champion is something like the Camille, but he just can't rip it out on stage. There's some form of mental barrier there. It's just not up to par.
Yeah, has fumbled a couple of the combos, hasn't been able to get Camille to the point of the game where she's a late game threat in both the split push and the genuine one-shot on the AD carry if the hook shot comes through.
But we have an extra layer of spiciness in terms of this matchup. We do need to note on the Nah, there was a bit of a bet. Skin bets are things in the OPL. Swiffer and Ryoma did it last year with Freljord Talia, sorry. Yeah, and Ryoma won that one. And Swipe has been very vocal that El Leon Nah is his skin. But then Pabu keeps using it. So the man's like, called him out, let's put a skin bet on. But Pabu actually called him back, was like, look, you made some outlandish deal. Swiper said if he wins this matchup, if they play the 1v1 and they get the win, then Pabu's not only not allowed to use El Leon Nah, but he also has to change his bio to like Swiper is the best. Like, he's so much better than me. And Pabu's like, what is this? It's bollocks. Like, you made the bet so much more than the skin, so he called him back.
Yeah, exactly right. So no bet on right now. However, I'll be enforcing it. As a shoutcaster, we have ultimate power here.
We get to flame them.
So
if they
whoever
pick
wins, if the other person picks El Leon Nah, we just get to go to town, which is a fun position to be in. However, let's bring the Chiefs lineup up onto your screen. It's going to be big swips in the top lane. Babip is their jungler. Ryoma, their mid laner. Raze and Destiny are their AD carry and support. Of course, Richard Su Fantix is their perfect coach. And of course, they're going up against Avant Gaming. Pabu is their top laner, only their jungler. Frey needs to be on point today. And Blinky and Jake make up the two halves of the Bash Bros down there in the bottom lane. Charlie Wraith is their coach. And I think that Frey is a person that last time these two teams played got really abused by Ryoma there in the mid lane. In the 1v1 matchup, was just getting shoved in over and over. Had some okay Galio ults in game number 1. However, was falling apart. And I feel like needs to step up if they win today.
And that was kind of the saving grace, were those Galio ultis, because he was part of the reason that Pabu got so ahead, but it just was at the cost of his own 1v1 matchup, so far behind there. But actually, have we ever got to zoom in on the ref before? We got to zoom in on the OPL like it. It's not one of the teams. It's, I like that one. But the other matchup I want to highlight yesterday, AV versus Legacy in the jungle matchup. Only, and the rest of Legacy put so much pressure onto Sybil in the jungle. They were invading him, level 3, getting in there with a Nidalee game 2. Tried that so hard. And then if you look at the Chiefs lineup, if you have to pick a weak link over the course of this game, you would have to say it'll be Babip. He's played the Nunu. He's the only jungler, I think, that has played the Nunu. So, and not to great effect. We've seen interviews with Fantix saying that they prioritize it really highly. Babip's really good on it, but it just didn't come to fruition. So you have to think, are AV going to go for a similar sort of strategy? Do they think Sybil is the weak link of Legacy and the same to Chiefs, or do they mix it up here?
Yeah, definitely a player to highlight. Babip was on the substitute team of Legacy for such a long time, waited for him to make that breakout performance. Legacy in general, you know, impaired Babip, have always had these good secondary junglers that you're waiting to come into OPL, but they have not been able to perform, even when they came in. Of course, it's going to be Gangplank ban on blue side, as well as an Ornn and an Ezreal, and then Azir, Zoe, Talia taken off the board by Avant, so trying to give Frey as much help as they possibly can versus Ryoma.
Nah is open. So, do we get the first pick? No, it's actually going to be the Ali. Kalista also available. All of the junglers as well. Jarvan, Sejuani, all available. So, a lot of options here for AV to take into that Alistar. But that's something that's just seen so much priority over the course of last week to this week. Ali really, truly shot up. We've seen Cupcake blind picking it here, and now Destiny doing the same.
Yeah, and with Ornn banned away, with Gangplank banned away, Nah has to be a serious consideration. Pabu's original tweet that kicked all this off was no top laners in Oceania should play Nah. They don't do enough with the priority in lane. We obviously saw Tally pick up a game win last game with it. However, maybe not necessarily completely to do with
I mean, we've seen a lot of Nah wins. We've seen a lot of Nah losses, so not necessarily that, but he just thinks overall Oceanic top laners aren't doing enough with the pressure that pick affords them. Rise will be the lock-in, and they've got about 6 seconds to take their next one. They're actually going for the AD carry pool. Hasn't been pinched other than the Ezreal, so interesting to see the Tristana blind pick.
Certainly is. That's a little bit more of a hyper-scaling AD carry for Blinky. Playing Cog to great success last week.
Obviously, he's in the bin now. Cogmore gone from one of the best to one of the worst, so Tristana kind of fills that gap, and I feel like Blinky and Jake have played these sort of scaling bot lanes for the most part over the course of this split. A lot of Cogmore, a lot of Nami and things like that. So Tristana Nami is in a lane that's pretty effective. You've got a lot of sustain. You do scale well, but if you ever find an avenue, Tristana can just jump in with the extra damage followed up by the Nami. Land that CC. Could be fairly good there, but
Kelly Star lane locked in right now for Raze and Destiny. That's certainly an aggressive laning duo. See where they're able to make it work once the level 6 hits. Great turret dive setup actually in the bottom lane. Whilst Ryoma picks up definitely his best champion at the moment in the Cassiopeia. He is an out-and-out superstar on this pickup. Does well into Rise historically.
Yep, has that early lane pressure. And of course scales nicely. Braum will be the pickup. You have to expect that Jake would go for something tanky. The Kali Star lane, such an easy time engaging, so We've seen Destiny have great success on the Rakan in terms of engaging successful fights for Chiefs, not just in the early game, but all over the game. So picking up a similar one here, and Raze with a Callista kind of facilitates that further. Braum going to be the answer here.
Yeah, and they start targeting the Bip straight away, so that's going to be the bug taken off. Maybe want to force him onto a tank and take a tempo matchup like the Italy. However, Babip himself is no stranger to playing that pickup.
Once again, we're taking a look at the draft here for one of the teams. Is that Fantix? That's a leak. We've leaked it. His notebook, he's showing it to the world, unfortunately. But they are holding that counter pick on AV for the jungle. Again, only did this yesterday. They picked up the Nidalee as well.
Yeah,
has that depth of champion pool to be able to counter pick when you get through the first layer of top tier junglers.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting here because I feel like they might actually take jungle because they ban away the mid, because potentially they want Pabu to be able to hold that Rise flex, because it's not going to necessarily do all that well into the mid lane. So if that is the case, these heavy jungle bans actually affect both junglers equally, you would argue.
Interestingly, AV are the ones to actually ban away the Nidalee.
Yeah.
Obviously by Bip and only, both big Nidalee players here. So, see that one hit the bench. 4 jungle bans
Jarvan
across the board. Jarvan's still available, as you mentioned.
I think you just blind pick the Jarvan right now. Potentially they take something like the Nuno into it, but it's certainly the best engaged jungle left up and available. Gragas also could be a potential right now for Bip.
Yeah, this is going to be Only's 99th game of Jarvan of the season. His first 6, I think, was straight up just Jarvan. First 3 series, only played Jarvan.
Yep. Shyvana, champion that we haven't seen in a long time. Fell out of a little bit of favour. Xin Zhao, something that tears up solo queue every now and again. Haven't seen it in competitive play at all.
Yeah. Do we see the Lee Sin, or is it just going to be the Gnar lock in? Obviously, the Rise was the pick up in the top side.
The gauntlet has been thrown by Pabu, and it has been picked up by Swiper. Looking very calm, actually, in the player cam. No cheeky grin out of DOS.
I feel like, knowing him very well, obviously, spent a lot of time on a team with him, that's not a good sign, you know. That's the nerves kicking in. Because normally, if he locked that in after throwing the gauntlet, he's sitting there like, oh, yeah. Like, it's my time. But no, looking completely stoic there. So, a little bit nervous. Skin not technically on the line, but I'm going to enforce it. You're going to enforce it. Destiny locks in the Rengar. So, an interesting pick for Babip here.
Yeah, for sure. That means that they don't have really massive engage factor apart from Destiny having to get into the front line, see whether he goes Spellbook to help facilitate that. I think when I have a look at this game is so important for Avant. Obviously, they played the 1 extra game. They're currently 1 point ahead Chiefs. Their only losses against Chiefs. If they can pull this back, they legitimately fit now into the 3rd slot contenders for the OPL title.
Yep, they've got the head-to-head easily over Legacy.
Yep.
So if they can take it over Chiefs, then...
But at the same time, if Chiefs win, especially if they 2-0, I feel like they join Order and Direwolves, and they put the distance between the 4th, 5th team.
Okay. Do you think Order and Direwolves are at the top? As in, like, do you think they're a clear 2 at the top? Because I think after Order's games today, and I think what we've seen from Direwolves, like, Direwolves kind of just look a tiny bit better. I feel like they're in their own category at the top, but then Order has looked kind of sloppy.
I think that Order's games today undid a lot of the work they did last week. Yeah, I think going into this week, having watched the games back a couple of times, Order, if they didn't get hit by one of those bottom lane turret dives, I feel like actually were fairly close to winning either game 1 or 3. Because game 3 was a complete snowball fest, but it was actually pretty even up until that point. So, yeah, I agree with you. I think that Order very easily, especially because they haven't played Legacy, Avant, or the Chiefs, they lose one of those games, very easily fall back down into the rest of the pack.
Yep, 100%. Had a very easy start of the schedule, playing the bottom 3 teams the first 4 weeks there.
Can only play who you get scheduled up against, however, so can't really hold that against them. Chiefs versus Avant right now. Raze on your screen, perfect player. Destiny actually looking pretty happy going into this game.
Yep. Calls himself the Oast Gorilla. He's got his hands on the cow here in the alley. Big engage tools for him, and I feel like that's something Chiefs has relied on time and time again. Ryoma, known for his laning phase early, does have a lot of pressure, but when they get into that mid to late game, Destiny is the one pulling the trigger for those winning team fights time and time again for the Chiefs.
Swiper yawning. Actually hitting us with the big yawn going into game number 1. Wake up, Swips.
Well, it's going to have to. And Skin's on the line.
I feel like Destiny filled a void in the Chiefs that we don't necessarily talk about. Losing Swiffer, losing Spooks, losing yourself, a lot of the vocal members of the team gone. Destiny certainly has slot into that. And to hear a little bit more about how the Chiefs are approaching this game, let's throw it over to Laura, who's alongside with Fantix.
Thank you very much, guys. I'm standing here alongside with Fantix. The last time the Chiefs played Avant, you were actually subbed in as their ADC. How did that experience help you in today's preparation?
I wouldn't say it helped in our preparation. It's more that just, like, Razor's obviously a better ADC than me, so it's just going to make the game a bit easier than last time.
You did really well in those games. Don't cut yourself. We saw a lot of bans thrown towards Rioma in that first ban phase. Is this something that you expected, and what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, it's definitely something we expected because I think that mid laner has some like champion pool issues, so kind of getting rid of like the strong mid laners would help them, I guess. Yeah, it's expected.
And looking at the Chiefs' composition this game, what have they got to do to pick up game one?
Well, with AV, like they just like playing the same kind of like team fight column. That's what they used to be at Legacy, and we think we're better at it. So yeah,
looking forward to seeing it happen. Thank you so much for the interview, and best of luck with the series.
Thank you.
And this is really interesting because I kind of agree with the last statement Fantix said a lot. And that is AV, Order, and Chiefs are the 3 team fighting teams. Then Legacy and Direwolves play a little bit more of the slow macro game at the moment.
Yep.
And I think that is what makes the OPL incredibly exciting is when the team fight teams play the team fight teams.
You don't know what's going to happen.
You have absolutely no idea how it goes because one snowball end, if you win the game through team fight, if a lane goes poorly, you're like, well, we can't team fight all of a sudden. I think that's what actually happened with Order in the last couple of games is they would have liked to afford it 2 items, but all of a sudden they're like, we need to fight at 4 items, 5 items. So, you know, it's just interesting when you have a look at the game in that kind of situation. And obviously, Fantix kind of use it similarly at the moment.
Yeah, especially if you ever get some form of early advantage going the wrong way there, is actually
What's
who's
your
going to
thoughts
go
on
for
it?
the advantage. I mean, yeah, definitely. In terms of how our teams stack up, notably 2017 Sin as well, compared to 2018, was like the big Fido team. Like, we're just going to fight you, and I feel like another... Oh! Blinky's burnt both summoners, and he's on 2 HP.
Certainly has. At the same time, Jakes has both of his available. 3 summoner spells burnt on the side of the Chiefs. So just going very aggressive there.
Level 2 Ali. With the Kalista going in, a lot of upfront damage. They do have the Ignite as well, but of course Destiny's Flash will be up first because he has that spellbook. 10% summoner CDR, or 15 rather.
Yep. And at the same time, Headbutt Pole plus the Minion Dematerializer means that it will hit turret very soon. Pabu goes for an aggressive trade onto Swiper. You can see right now, wave fairly even.
This is a bit of a skill matchup. We've seen it earlier as well, but...
It used to be out and out that Camille won this matchup.
Yep.
You would max hook shot, you'd just be able to get on top of the Gnar. But since Gnars have got much better with the hop interaction off the back end of the hook shot, has seemed to be a little bit more Gnar favored than otherwise thought.
Misses that one. Jump still available from Swiper, but has to pick up his boomerang. So hops on his head. Nice little counter trade back. It's going to be fairly even. Gnar has gone for the summon area there, so we haven't seen a press the attack Gnar yet in the OPL. We've seen a Comet and we've seen a summon area, so a lot of the blue tree, not a lot of the yellow.
Yeah, certainly right. At the same time, you see right now in the mid lane, Frey taking the bad end of a couple of trades, but up right now as far as CS goes. So losing the HP war, but winning the creep score war.
And it's interesting to hear Fantix talking about the mid lane matchup in the interview. Laura asked him about the mid lane champion pool, and he says Frey has a few issues. We saw yesterday AV not willing to pick Zoe at all.
Yep.
We have seen Luch play that already today to great success, but we've seen Frey play the majority of his games on just global champions. He's played the Rise, he's played the Galio, and a few others, but the bulk of his games are on those champions. So, be interesting to see further on in this series, or not just to mention the rest of the season, if teams do start targeting him.
Yeah, for sure. As we see another good trade coming out of Ryoma. Frey uses that shield to trade back nicely. But you can see, even though the CS is matched, even though potions are matched, Ryoma is the person that 100% of the time in this lane is on the front foot with all of the priority, should open up Babip for the jungle eventually.
Yeah, this is our first Infernal Drake, first spawn for Super Week so far. 2 days in, we've had a lot of airs, but now we actually have the Oceanic special in that Infernal. So Frey just going to pick up this wave and want to back off by his tier. Ryoma basing already, has that phase rush. Just going to base. Obviously he doesn't have the spellbook as well. So interesting to see the Kalista pick up the lethal tempo. You see a lot of fleet footworks in the bottom lane, but that is becoming more and more popular on things like the Kalista.
Why is it becoming more popular? What does lethal tempo give you that fleet footwork doesn't?
Obviously, fleet footwork is going to give you that sustain. So lethal tempo gives you more attack speed. When you do get into a fight, you can exceed the cap.
Yep.
So it's a big thing when Kalista gets into team fights. All she wants to do is build up those Ren stacks and start hopping around. So it's not really a laning summoner. but more so for later into the game.
Yep, for sure.
She wants to be able to match the Tristana, who you'd have to say scales incredibly well, has that Q, about 90% attack speed on that one, so wants to match somewhat.
Yeah, definitely the case, and right now you can see that they're matching in lane very well. Blinky's just dropped 3 CS in that creep wave alone, and he's down 16 overall, so that early game trade hurting Avant Gaming.
Okay, Destiny as well, getting some vision in the river. I've yet to see someone ward over that wall into the tri-bush. I want to see someone do it. You can actually do it from the river on blue side of the map into the bot side red tri-bush. You can actually, where about that ping is on the map right now, red ping.
We got to get you a tutorial for it.
Yep, and you can ward this bush from the river.
They thought they actually had done it. That's why their ward went there.
But Destiny just walks around, and he just placed it up near the blue. Going to be spawning
from
fairly
Dragon
soon.
Pit as well, you can also hit the brush that is on the backside of red buff.
There's a lot of sneaky ones,
And then from this lane, you can hit the brush that is just above the screen that you're looking at as well. So very interesting when you have a look at how creative supports can get with award positioning.
Yep. But so far, been a very stale game in terms of junglers. They're fairly even, one camp between them, but Babip walking out of base right now. I feel like it does favor the Rengar though, so he hasn't had to interact with anything, and he wants to be able to hit that level 6, but actually level 5, Destiny does have the flash, and they've just pinked that bush, so they're looking for a gank onto the bottom line of AV.
Yeah, certainly are. Phase Rush comes out of Ryoma as he chases Frey down. However, good return damage, and Frey got a nice shot. He was able to pick himself up an extra Sapphire and Ruby Crystal. So
engage in the bottom lane, that's the combo.
Blinky obviously already used the hop, has to burn the heal, will fall down. That's going to be a double kill picked up for the Chiefs bottom lane. Maybe they are the most aggressive bottom lane in the league.
Yeah, but Vip didn't even need to hit 6 there. He hits it on his exit with the XP from the kills and the creeps. So already level 2, they got the engage off and just returning there, but they bring another member, and that's going to be 2 kills and first blood over to the Chiefs.
Yeah, potentially also going to be an Infernal Drake. Kalista, one of the best Infernal Drake takers at this stage of the game. Obviously just going to throw spears in there. Stack up the rend a little bit as well. Not going to be the secure at this stage of the game, but just a lot of persistent damage. And Chiefs at this stage of the game, 1,000 gold up and an Infernal Drake is a massive deal.
And not to mention, Destiny didn't even have to burn his flash. All he did was walk up and combo, and he found both the members of AV's bottom lane. That's a big deal coming out there. Fate's Call is still going to be available. Then you have that
trade
extra
out
flash.
of Pabu. Doesn't use the ultimate. Potentially was an opportunity there to get a lot of damage down. Swiper was yet to go mega. In he goes with the ultimate. Only is here, as you said. Swiper still looking for the transform. However, does get killed in the top lane. AV splitting the map nicely.
Yeah, so isolated 1v1 already. 10 CS down in the hands of Swiper, and he will fall. Has the TP to get back to lane, but this does mean the pressure splitting the map so far, only influencing the top side, so AV have advantage there, but Chiefs answering on the bottom.
In saying that, I argue for the 1 in the 1-4 more than many people do.
Yep.
You're a big fan of the 4.
I'm a big 4 man.
When your 4 has a Kalista and accelerated Alistar, even I'm going to say the 4 wins out in this situation.
Yep, just going to be so easy for Chiefs to find engages in the mid-game and when they progress through this laning phase. A mobile mage in the Rise doesn't have access to that, it's almost cheating to be honest. I'm going to call it a cheat, that stopwatch ulti combo.
However,
get out of jail
Swiper
free.
returning back to this lane will now have vision of only, however, doesn't have vision of the fact the rest of the team is heading up that way. You can see that the Rengar as well as the Cassiopeia were coming. They've pulled the creep wave. Tristana is here. Do they go for the play or do they just let it fizzle? Right now, it looks like they're letting it fizzle. I think this is a mistake.
Looking to get some wards down onto Rengar, potentially, but Blinky and Only are here now. Can they lock down Swiper for long enough? Flash.
Actually gets the flash on the combo as well. Ultimate comes out. Swiper nars them into the Cataclysm. However, you can see falling so low. Can he fall down? He will. Teleport coming out right now. That is just Destiny solo.
What?
A buster shot onto a creep, and Babip is here. Ultimate used by Jake, only in big trouble. That's going to be Babip getting a kill in response, and they're going to actually get 2 here for their trouble. Pabu falls down. Cassiopeia going to cut off multiple members. Flash forward out of Frey will mean that he chases away Ryoma. At the same time, Destiny still marching into this one. That's the smallest Rise ulti of all time, Frey.
Yep, Frey likes those ones, but one of the messiest dives there. Pull that from AV. It's going to be a 2-4-2 overall, but the spell book in the hands of Destiny means he gets there, but we see on the bottom-hand side of the map, Kalista 50 CS ahead, then Blinky got to push that wave in for free. They took down that turret earlier, and he just walks the wave up. Blinky going to miss that whole play, and they didn't even get the turret on the top side of the map.
Exactly right, and Blinky died. he got an assist and then died. He busts a shot of creep. You can see that even though we've been complimenting a little bit of those stage shooters coming back for Avant Gaming right now, 2,200 gold,
at 10
and
minutes.
all of it is on Raze.
That is a huge advantage for the Kalista right now. Blinky, sitting on next to nothing, finds himself in the mid lane in a little bit of a weird matchup against the Nah, but once again, in this matchup, Chiefs versus AV, we saw it happen last time. Pabu have the advantage on the top side, punishing Swiper, who's now 0-2-1. But Chiefs on the 4 in the other side of the map are able to accrue those advantages. Big lead for Raze.
Raze is massive.
Yeah, here's a 4 to a BF and a couple of daggers. That's gross.
All right. Well, not much going to be happening for Blink in this game. He's also 2 levels up.
Yeah, not to mention, Raze has that Infernal Drake in his back pocket, so got to do even more damage. That's got to hurt here. Can they even defend this top turret? You have to think the dive should be fairly easy for Bip. His ulti isn't up just yet, but only is on the bottom-hand side of the map. So if they can keep pressuring this top side, once Rengar ticks over on that ulti, it should be an easy dive for the Chiefs.
Yeah, certainly should be. And the Chiefs, I mean, this is a 2v1 right now, just looking so comfortable. And honestly, Blinky just cannot approach the wave to take it down. So even though that was only Kalista by herself, 50% of the turret already gone. You can see they're looking for the dive one more time onto Swiper. No flash available. Will get knocked up and follow their Cataclysm out of both of the arena champions. Looking to return the kill onto Only. Will not be able to get it. However, Babip looking to return the favor topside. That will be Blinky and Jake backing away.
And he smites away the Krog there, so AV don't even pick up that one. And so Chiefs looking to trade on the other side of the map. This is historically how this matchup has gone. So we'll see if it is enough to get Pabu ahead. He's now on the Camille, not the Nah. So see how things track going into this game. 1 minute and a half on the next Dragon. Trading turrets 1-for-1 here, but Chiefs still have the advantage.
Yeah, and Chiefs always just have the tempo because they have 3 people hitting the turret versus 2 people hitting the turret. And you could see that even though Swiper fell down, he took a couple of ultis with him, but I think at this stage of the game, Swiper needs to stop dying. He needs to now just back away from turrets and let them have it.
Yep.
Because, as I said, the tempo is just there for his team. You see, even though they trade turrets, they get the Rift Herald. First time around, they got themselves a free turret and an Infernal Dragon. Big Swips, maybe really buying into this Leon Nah hype.
Yep. And the big thing is the XP there. You do deny whether you die or you just deny yourself the CS. You're not going to get that gold, but being able to just soak up the XP where you can is such a big deal when you get into these later game split push scenarios with the Camille versus the Nah. But also in terms of Chiefs, they're just trading 2-for-1 for the most part, because despite Ryoma being down in CS, for the most part he does have priority in the mid lane, especially when you have a Rengar that just has so much threat. Frey has to play so respectfully. No claims, just has the Ghost and Flash, so if Rengar ever gets on him and he can land the root, land the grounding from Cass, he will just fall down.
Yeah, completely agree, and that's a deadly combo coming out. Both of them have CC, both of them are heavy damage threats. Rengar, one of those unique junglers that has access to CC in the right situation much earlier into the game than damage threat junglers. Kha'Zix, no real CC. Lee Sin, no real CC. Kind of Rengar as well as Elise that do fulfill that role in the early game of aggressive junglers, the Pack-a-Punch.
Yeah, it's going to be 5 members of the Chiefs in the mid lane. And literally 2 from AV, so going to lose a little side wave control, but this will be doing the mid turret going down so easily for the Chiefs. That's the complete outer ring of turrets broken.
And without using the Rift Herald at the same time, they're going to look to hover top side of the map as well. Blinky wants to get that turret, try and peg some of that gold lead back in his favor, but Kalista as well as Ali and Babip just going to be able to take a second Infernal Dragon. So outer turret and Infernal for a little bit of farm onto your Tristana is a huge win for the Chiefs.
It is a huge win, but what can AV do? They don't want to be opting into a team fight right now. No items on Blink. It wouldn't be doing too much damage. Pabu potentially could swing it, but he doesn't even have his Triforce yet, so they know Chiefs are going to set up bot side around that Infernal. They know they have the priority in the mid lane, so they do try to get something. Better than nothing, but it still sucks.
Yep, certainly does. Sucks when you lose games of League of Legends. It's not fun anymore.
I love League when I'm winning.
Yeah. I completely agree with you.
My favorite type of League of Legends.
At the same time, they didn't have to burn the Rift Herald for that. So they still have a way to break a tier 2 turret if they use it wisely. Don't want to see an Expiration Herald go out. A bit backing on a ward. Maybe the signal for Pabu to go aggressive on Swiper again.
Yeah, but in saying that, he's got tier 2 boots and he obviously has that on the hunt. Or is it? No, it's Thrill of the Hunt. On the Hunt would be Sivir. So he can still make his way into the bottom lane very quickly. Triforce was picked up by Camille.
A little bit impatient there. Went searching for Swiper. However, Swiper was willing to let the wave come to him.
He's listening. Took your words of advice, not looking to die. outside the lane, playing very far back. Almost has no vision, does. Literally no wards in his bottom side of the jungle. Raze, I think, is throwing like a sentinel down there now. Going to give him some shallow vision, but if Only's around, he knows he will die. So as soon as he's off the map, doesn't really want to contest the wave.
Blinky now in big trouble. We'll have to burn the jump. However, so much damage comes out of the Rengar at this stage.
Ryoma looks like he's not even needed. That will be the Rift Herald popped. But Bip honestly eats the Tristana alive. Still has that flash. Burnt the heal. Tried to get out, but it just was too little too late. Both flashes burnt.
Yeah,
from
and
the 2v2
Swiper
Ryoma
somehow cleared out this creep wave, which means the top lane will die so much quicker. See, already Herald working on that turret. Going to get a couple of charges, at least one off onto this. And I'm surprised the Chiefs didn't commit to that topside play.
Yeah, honestly, they can pull up the alley, pull up the Kalista, and they might just be able to get a crash into the inhib. They could have got some damage down, but no, they're actually looking to defend Swiper on the bot side of the map. They're chasing only through their jungle, but looks like he's going to get out scot-free.
Yeah, strange play coming out of the Chiefs there. I think that's a situation where you're 4 versus 2.
And you have a Kalista, you have an alley.
Yep. And now all of a sudden they're engaging very hard onto that Alistar. We'll just get face called out of. Good communication. Didn't burn both ultimates, just one.
Yep, the Unbreakable still will be up for Destiny. And of course, he still has that flash available. Both summoners available for the bottom lane of the Chiefs, so they can still look for a play. But as we mentioned, they did burn that Rift Herald there, so they get another turret in the pocket of Chiefs, 4-3.
Swiper again going to be engaged on. He's
on
backing
vision.
on a ward. In goes Pabu, level 11 versus level 10. Ultimate is up and available. Doesn't want to burn it looks like. Just going to continue to kite him out here. Will finally pop that. However, it might be too late. What are you doing, Pabu? The bonus damage there would have put it over the edge, but Babip saved Swiper.
I feel like Pabu, he tried to dodge the hyper proc with that ulti, but timed it poorly. Gets hit by the damage anyway. Wastes so much time, that means Babip comes through with a cleanup. That's a big deal for this split pusher. He already had the advantage of this matchup. Swiper was 1-3, or 0-3 actually. Yep. Hadn't even completed his first item, no cleaver, but he wins that.
That's massive.
Yeah, that's the swing point. Yep. That's 100% the swing point in this 1v1 in the side lane. If AV don't have that pressure, then they just don't have a pressure point in the map. So you'd have to hope with the pickup of the Tiamat. Actually hold that. Ryoma's looking for another pick onto Foray.
Yeah, certainly is. In comes Babip as well. They're going to look to get out of this one. Grounded stops the ulti. Can no longer stopwatch away. That's the changes on 8.3. And Babip on this Rengar, attacking split push, is doing a very nice job.
And that's just one of the biggest strengths of Rengar. He can just attack the side lane so easily. And then AV, unfortunately for them, have this 1-3-1 comp. Ryze wants to sit in the side lane. Blinky so far behind. All he wants to do is sit in mid, wave clear duty, farming up until he will be stronger than the Kalista. But that does mean that the Chiefs have all these windows to play with. They're looking to get onto Jake, but looks like he's just going to walk out.
Yep. So Blinky really waiting on the 4-item spike then, if that's what he's waiting for. Because the first 3, he's certainly not going to be stronger at the rate that Raze is going to pick them up.
He's a bit far away from that one, from the 4 items. He's got 1.5.
Maybe. Yeah.
It's going to be rough.
That was kind of my point.
Yep.
2,200 gold still behind, so it's not getting any bigger.
Gold leads across the board there for the Chiefs almost, but Pabu, 1.3 ahead. That's the big thing. Actually, only steals away that. Does buffer the EQ, so he gets out from the grounded there. So, nice little takeaway from him. But you'd have to think Pabu should still be able to have at least pressure in the side lane. Whether he can 1v1 Swiper anymore might not be the case, but he should be able to push him in.
Big Swips did get himself a red buff, and I like this. Giving some control over to Swiper, you know, letting him take what should be, you know, historically Raze's buff.
I can tell you, Raze is a red buff AD carry. He's not happy giving that one over. But from experience.
Health regen, as well as the slow, will help Gnar out in this situation a lot. Pabu needs to hard engage. If he's going for this, the ultimate needs to come out very soon. And you can see that now that he doesn't have sight on Babip, he's just not willing to play it.
Not to mention, the 1v1 was actually incredibly close to the red buff. You mentioned the regen, but also just the damage might just tip it over into favor of Swiper. So Raze obviously got the enemy's red buff there, so still has his own. Baron spawning in 20 seconds. They do have double Infernal and a Kalista secure. Not to mention the speed that Cassio can do that one. So there's a lot of Baron potential coming out from Chiefs.
Yeah, and this is the stage of the game that Swiper is now at a point where he's bouncing waves with Pabu. So he pushes and leaves, goes get himself a Rift Scuttle. When Pabu pushed, he got himself a double Golem camp as well as a Gromp camp. But overall, a lane that was like a train wreck for the Chiefs now has some priority on the map.
Yeah, and it's all about that swing point, all about that fight. It means Swiper does have some semblance of control. Chiefs opting in for the 3rd dragon of the game. It's going to be that air, so Not looking to set up the Baron too quick. Raze, nice little hop over the wall, gets himself out of the pit there. Will be another Mountain spawning.
Was that Mountain or Infernal? I didn't see it.
That was Mountain. All right, pretty sure. 95% sure. Oh!
Didn't. I tried to give you the out.
I didn't take it.
You really didn't. You were committed.
I saw the brown, you know. So
I
it was
respect
actually
that.
just red.
The commitment was good.
Yeah. Ulti
It
out
was
of the
wrong,
ringer.
but it was good. Flash also going to come out of only.
It's a big cooldown. So they're engaged. He's really the only engage tool that they have, Jake. In the series yesterday was kind of doing the job where nobody else could on the Braum, but Braum not a good engaged champion, so having that flash gone is going to be a big deal. And only doesn't even have his first item yet. He's pretty far behind. Dustblade obviously cheaper.
Yep.
Here for Babip, so the Rainowood's not quite completed there. Pabu potentially looking for the 1v1 again. Swiper's going to hit Mega. That could be the window.
Yeah, we'll see whether he does go in when Swiper goes Mega. Misses the low sweep. And you can see that right now Swiper just does not give a damn about the lady with the blades for legs.
Yep, Jake going to clear out that Sentinel, but Chief's waiting in the wings here. He's just going to ward over that wall, so he will spot them very briefly, but nice vision control around the Baron. That's 4 pinks. One in the dot bush, one in the pit, and then one up the river, and obviously the one on your screen as well. So Chiefs denying so much control around this Baron. You have to think it's an inevitability until one member of AV has to face check a bush.
Yeah, I mean, this control is absolute from the Chiefs. They're just sweeping everything out there, even killing the wards in the pit. And you can see that they now have a situation where mid lane control, top lane control completely on the side of the Chiefs. Avant still keep bottom lane control by a tiny bit, honestly. That's going to be Swiper going back and grabbing himself a Randuin.
Yeah, and that was because Swiper actually pulled himself up to the pit.
He didn't get Randuins. He just got himself a couple of wards.
No, he just walked all the way up, wanted to clear out some vision with his team. If they could find a fight, then they would have a potential numbers disadvantage. So, we're actually going to the pit. Frey. What?
Okay.
Looking for something. Thought they saw something there. Missing pings actually come out of the Chiefs. They're like, Frey, what are you doing, dude? That's a Baron pit. There's a big angry worm in there, but it does give AV control of the mid lane for a brief moment here.
Yeah, it certainly does. So they're looking to push in. Pabu is in Fog of War right now. Hasn't shown that he's joining the rest of the team. See whether they go for it. That will be on the hunt. Thrill of the Hunt, sorry, used. And they're flashing everywhere. They want out of this. Destiny flash effort pulled in. That will be Jake whiffing his ultimate. Both of the supports going very low. Frey also has to burn Ceres, will be rooted up. In goes Ryoma. Stopwatch also used. Pabu somehow killed Swiper on the other side of the fight.
Yeah, both top laners don't choose to TP in. There was plenty of flank wards for Swiper to TP to, but he just tries to walk. Pabu finds him in the jungle, burns his flash, and kills him. So that's advantage AV. Yeah,
big advantage as well. They're now hitting this top mid lane turret. All that farm on the bottom side will be picked up. You can see they're trying to buffer out of this one. Blinky slowed. Potentially the turnaround play is there. And you can see Jake now falling very low. Buster shot out. And he'll burn as well. In flashes Ryoma, and he picks up a kill.
That's going to be the pick finally. Frey used his stopwatch and his flash to get out before. It is still on the map very low, so this might just be the opportunity Chiefs wanted to take the Baron. But Bip and Destiny are walking all the way here. Swiper still has his TP.
You can see that right now they started up. They do it so quickly. Avant have no real business contesting this one. Only going to try and stick his beak in and see if he can pick anything up. 3,000. Grounded goes out. Headbutted away. Poled as well. Rend will secure. And Chiefs grab a 23-minute Baron.
Yep, nice and easy execution on the Baron. The cow, very good at keeping junglers away, not to mention the grounded from Ryoma, so they throw him over the wall. And this is that 1v1 we see. Swiper actually just looking at the Baron. Yeah. He hasn't thrown an ability until he's half HP. Pabu's eaten him alive. Also gets the jump over the wall there, so Swiper just not paying attention, to be honest. Was looking for the fight, potentially communicating with his team, but Pabu comes up with the 1v1.
And now Pabu has Asterix. So what was a fairly even matchup should swing pretty heavily in Pabu's favor. Asterix is just so strong with Camille because of the synergy with that Trinity Force. You can see already the damage coming out. Oh, that's the second true damage shot. You can see Baron buff recall being channeled. That's going to be them going onto the back line. Maybe a bit of miscommunication there as they actually go onto Raze. Has to flash away. That's going to be the Hextech ultimatum thrown down onto the Alistar, who goes golden. And Jake doesn't even complete his ultimate. Into the back line goes Big Swift, soloing out Frey. And for the longest time, the Avant lineup has been under a turret. That is too deep.
Yeah, they've committed too far. They could not get the kill onto Raze. Unfortunately, Destiny ripped back by the Fate's Call. And Ryoma wasn't even there. If he was, it would have been a complete ace for the Chiefs. But he walks down from top lane, picks himself up a cheeky kill onto Only. And Chiefs have the Baron and they're looking for the base.
Yeah, they certainly are. So Avant, they go aggressive. They think they have the picks. Look like they wanted Pabu, but look like they wanted Raze. In the end, the split attention plus the turret really does bite them in the bum.
And it was a nice play out of Destiny, to be honest. He was caught out in the jungle very low from that last bit of true damage from Pabu you mentioned, but he combos in to get himself in range of the Fate's Call. So Raze rips him out to safety, and then Chiefs come up with the team fight victory.
But in saying that, still 5,000 gold lead right now for the Chiefs.
Yep.
But we've seen that Pabu is definitely winning in this 1v1. Definitely has more priority. 1,200 gold lead. Raze, still very far ahead, 402, 50-ish CS up still.
I mean, he does have the gold lead, but in the 1v1 it's shrinking. Mind you, it is from the global gold that Swipe is getting.
Yep.
But only a kill and an assist to his name, so the CS discrepancy between the two only 20 as well. So he has caught back up briefly. But advantage still is in Pabu's way. This will be the Infernal, not the Mountain. Chiefs going to pick up their third for the game, and that has to hurt, especially, we're talking about stylistically, these two teams just want a team fight. That is huge. That's so much extra damage, almost for free. Avant not very lucky in this game.
If they maintain control over it, that fact that that's going to be a 6 buff Drake with Elder comes up and available. At the same time, they're pushing in with the last of their Baron buff, and you can see hard commitment to this split push coming out of Avant. Raze using the Baron buff increases the speed of a minion, something overlooked very often.
Yep, gets the waves in early. So they're just going to take this turret down. AV respecting it, trying to get a bit of a push in the mid and top lane because they know this one is going to drop. But only 2 members are around.
We said.
So Chiefs can just go.
Yeah, Chiefs will continue to look to go here, try and break the base. I feel like at this stage you got to give it. But Babip is hunting right now for the Tristana. Will jump away. Pabu also getting soloed right now. Will fall very low. And Chiefs continue to march into the base. Pabu actually goes over the wall.
Yep, there were flank wards in place for Pabu to be able to TP to. But Swiper just kind of shepherding him off that one, making sure he can't TP. And with the Baron buff as well, if he retreats back to his turret, retreats back to the wave, probably would be able to survive.
Oh, Blinky jumps on Babip there, knows that he doesn't have the on the hunt available, Thrill the hunt available. And Pabu, to his credit, actually gets that turret as well. Yep. So AV is still in not very close touching distance, but if they dive, maybe they can get there.
I mean, it's not like this game is a foregone conclusion right now. The next big play will probably be the Baron, unless Chiefs set up a dive. They do have that gold lead right now. We've already mentioned the Infernals, but execution is so important here. If Chiefs do mess up, if Destiny doesn't get hit by the Fate's Call, if Raze falls down in a team fight, you can see it swinging very heavily in the other way. Blinky's starting to get some items finally, sitting on 3. Yep. He's about a QSS and a half behind of Raze, but if he starts resetting in a team fight, that's a big load of damage that he can output.
Yeah, and at a certain point, Chiefs 80 carry. I mean, he doesn't build all that much AD, so the... Oh, actually, face check coming out of Destiny. A headbutt pulse combo is there. Ryoma and Raze will join it, and that's going to be Pabu falling very low, will fall down. And you can see on the back end, they're just going to toss the Alistar back in. Swiper looking to continue this. Destiny actually will fall down unless he is healed.
Nope, heal just not available. Fortunately, he's still on cooldown, so he throws himself into a turret and then dies, but Pabu kind of just caught in a bush looking for a pick there. It does go down. That might just be another inhib for the Chiefs.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be. You see Blinky still very scared of Babip. Cannot get into this fight at all. Babip goes in onto Frey. Nearly one hits him.
He's got the solo Q build.
And what an ultimate over the wall from Ioma. Blinky will fall down. You can see Buster Shot saves him. And that will be another kill picked up for Raze. With 10 seconds still on this Camille, you see the Chiefs trying to push in, trying to end the game. Frey corralling them out of the base. 5 seconds now on Pabu. Teleport is up and available. There are some deep wards. They're pinging them out. However, Swiper coming back into this team fight.
That's a deep TP that is actually cancelled by Pabu, who wanted to go for the flank, but Chiefs just want to end the game.
Yeah, and they might be able to do it. You see Swiper hops forward, does fall down very low. However, both Nexus turrets dead, and Raze is just hitting the Nexus. He is not mucking around. Eventually, AV, you have to go or you will lose, and instead, they just lose game number 1 here versus the Chiefs.
Very strong performance out of the Chiefs here. Swiper on that Nara, unfortunately, kind of got bullied around by Pabu on that Camille, but the bot lane out of the Chiefs was what really turned that game around. The Callista Alley did so much work for the bottom lane of the Chiefs and just gave them so much priority.
Yeah, it certainly did. I mean, when you get double killed in lane, you lose your turret, you fall down 50 CS, no matter how well you scale as Tristana, it is just not going to happen in the time you need, especially against triple Infernal Drake.
Yeah.
And AV held on, but then, honestly, they made some real sloppy mistakes, like brush camping when you have a better scaling comp. Yeah. It's just such a weird thing to do.
They just tried to force the fight, not to mention Frey Rise ulting into the pit randomly. They were kind of trying to look for these cheeky picks, but unfortunately none of them ever actually succeeded. Yep. And then especially someone we haven't mentioned, but Bip didn't have a lot of impact early, but honestly on that Rengar just got to free farm for the most part. And at the end of that fight, you saw him literally 90% of Frey's HP in one combo coming out of that ulti, attacking the side lanes time and time again. Kind of brought Swiper back into the game, I feel, somewhat.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that giving Ryoma Cassiopeia is one of those things that doesn't seem to work for me. I think that Ryoma obviously is a very good LeBlanc player, very good Talia player, but his Cassiopeia team fighting is very good. And that last ulti flash over the wall just shows he has complete mastery over this champion. He's very confident. And he had priority over the lane the whole time after being triple banned.
And does it come back to the champion pool issues? If Frey is just going to keep picking the Rise, and they've already thrown bans, they've banned away the Zoe, things like that, like, how many bans can you throw at mid lane until like Ryoma's champion pool is just too much?
But arguably, Cassiopeia beats Rise and Rise beats Zoe. So why are you banning Zoe if you want to just pick the Rise? Doesn't make much sense to me. However, maybe it makes sense to Carbon or Laura. Let's check in with them.
Thank you very much, guys. Chiefs able to pick up the first game in this best of 3 rematch. Does that pick make any sense to you, what they were saying about the Rise and Zoe?
I think Rise is really strong right now. Like, I think he's just an extremely strong meta pick that Frey is comfortable on. And to be honest, like, I don't think Ryoma really had that big an impact on the game. Most of his roams involved Rengar one-shotting someone and him just throwing down the grounded. He did have a really big team fight at the end of the game with the flash over the wall. But really, that was Ryoma's only highlight to me. And that's not to say that he played poorly. It's just that his teammates were playing so well. I mean, everybody else was having a great game, particularly the bot side of the map. And so he just didn't stand out.
Yeah, Fantix did say in the interview that Raze is a better ADC than him. And I think after watching that first game, you'd have to say it's pretty scary going up against Raze and Destiny in that bot lane.
Yeah, I mean, I did mention Destiny before the game. I think he's been playing exceptionally well. But yeah, Raze had a great game this game. And they forced the summoners early, chunked him out to about 1 HP, he had to jump away. Then they picked up the double kill with a Rengar gank just before Rengar hit 6, which was pretty huge. And then 50 CS lead at like 10 minutes or something, just an absolutely insane gold lead. Meant it was really tough for AV.
Swiper also tweeted out just before this series that he was angry and ready for it, but I feel like he might be a bit more angry since AV keep camping him in that top lane. But it's not really working out for AV.
No, well, they sort of, the question for me coming into this game was, are they going to keep the same plan or not? Are they going to continue to camp top lane, or is only going to try and do something else? I don't think they really had the chance to do anything else. I mean, AV's bot lane, Blinky got chunked so hard so early that it didn't really make much sense for only to play bot side, so he went top again. Swiper finds himself 0-3 against Pabu once more, but the bot lane lead is just so huge. I also want to give a quick shout out to Pabu. I thought he played fantastic. We haven't seen a Rengar yet this split. I think he played it fantastically. Capitalized early. Then as soon as he hit 6, he started putting pressure everywhere as well. Built damage build, but still managed not to die throughout the game, which is evidence of a top-notch Rengar game. So I think he played fantastically.
We asked you guys at home to send in questions for Carbon to answer, and we've picked 5 for him to answer right now. The first one coming in from Joe, who asks, who are your favourite champions to play in the jungle?
Right now, I think, I don't know, that's a tough question, actually. I'm sort of bored of the jungle pool right now because it's all the same stuff.
What about all-time then?
All-time, favourite champs. I really liked playing Nunu and Ivan. Those were both really fun champions. They just felt like the enemy, they had no counterplay options. It just felt so oppressive, and it was so much fun to play. I really love the utility champs. But that being said, I love carry champs as well, and probably Lee Sin's probably my all-time favorite. I feel like Lee Sin always has options. Like if you're behind, you can make a big comeback play with a huge kick, or if you're ahead, you can snowball the game, or if you're even, you can build peel items, you can build redemption, whatever. Like he really can do it all. So I think Lee Sin's always a lot of fun.
Are you still playing Riven in the jungle?
No, I think like early last week, I told myself like I'd trolled enough and that I was gonna.
Quits.
I was like, all right, like I'm just gonna get challenger now, because I had a pretty heavy I had a pretty bad win rate. Like I had I was like 40% win rate or something like that. So I was like, okay, maybe time to get challenger. Stop trolling my teammates.
Our second question comes in from Luke, who says, with the upcoming jungler knife changes, how do you see this affecting matches and in particular counter jungling?
I mean, I think it's a massive change. Junglers without wards is going to be either someone's going to come up with a different vision solution, like building support items and upgrading them somehow, or I mean, I think that's literally the only one.
Yeah.
But I think, or taking stuff like Zombie Ward or Ghost Pourer or something like there will be something because junglers need to have vision. I mean, junglers have played with competitive junglers. You got to think that for us, it's completely different from solo queue. Like the jungler number one task for the last 5 years has been maintain vision control and apply pressure for your lanes. And wards are obviously a key part of that.
Yeah.
So I feel like either they're going to completely shake up the meta, either jungle is going to be completely different, or someone, and this is what I think is probably more likely the latter, is that someone's going to figure out some sort of solution where it's like, okay, if you take Spell Thieves and Zombie Ward, that you can maybe make something happen. I don't know, but it'll be a huge change, especially for competitive jungling.
Our third question comes in from Austin, who says, who is your all-time most hated jungler to verse?
I don't know if he means player or
Let's do
champion.
both. Let's go for both.
I always hated versing Shaco. I feel like Shakos are always really dangerous. They're gonna something's gonna happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even I have games against Shakos where I'll kill them a bunch of times and they'll be 0-3 or 0-4 even, and then they just go to a side lane and split push, and because it's solo queue you can't end the game until 40 minutes, and then they have 6 items and they one-shot your AD carry, or I don't know. I hate that the enemy champion has Ignite and Smite and I have to have Flash, and so I automatically lose all 1v1s. That always really pissed me off. In terms of players, I don't know. I don't really have any players that I hated versing. The junglers that I didn't like, I enjoyed versing because I liked beating them, or at least I liked the drama of it.
Yeah.
I like the drama of it. So I don't know. I wouldn't really say that I have an all-time hated player.
Our fourth question comes in from Russell, who says, I need help with jungle. What is the best way to work out jungle path when factoring character selection? # Nunu for life.
I mean, if he's playing Nunu, he probably doesn't need to think about jungle party that much. Just go to whatever camp the other guy's at and eat it. Best way to work out jungle path when factoring character selection. So it all comes down to champion knowledge, basically. You need to look at your champion, your ally's champion, and the enemy champion. So if I use a really easy example, if you have TF versus, if you're playing Lee Sin and you have a TF and you're playing against Victor, you know that to you, you should see that and think, okay, that's an easy gank. Gold card into Q, and he should die. But then you also got to factor in summoner spells. Okay, Victor has cleanse. All right, so what does that mean for me? Well, probably my first gank is going to cleanse. So then the plan should be not a very committal gank on the first one. Maybe just ward jump, blow the cleanse, and leave. Don't get chunked, don't die, so that you can come back in 30 seconds to a minute and do it again. That's about as simple as it gets, but that's what you need to be doing, because you need to be looking at the enemy champ as well, top lane. If the enemy has a good matchup, you can think if your jungler is better, stronger 1v1 than the other jungler, but you can't fight him 1v1, what you can do is look for for the enemy's good matchups. So if he's okay, if he has the TF versus Victor and he's playing Lee Sin, you're okay, well, he's probably going to gank this lane. That's the smart thing for him to do when I'm going to respect my opponent. So what I'm going to do is, because I'm stronger than him 1v1, but I don't have any good lanes to gank, I'm just going to wait mid, because I know he's going to try and burn the cleanse. Yeah. And maybe you let him burn the cleanse and then gank on the second one when he comes back, or maybe you just try to counter gank the first one. So it's really just all about champion knowledge, how your champion interacts with all the other champions.
Lots of research and knowledge right there. Our fifth question comes in from Rin, who says, back when you were on Mind Freak and Avant Ascension,
that's a long time ago. I
ever
remember that.
think Ejim would be so successful? Be careful what you say here.
I don't know, no. I'm going to say no. I didn't think that. But only because back then, when I was on those teams, it wasn't like what was success?
Yeah.
You know, what we're doing now, this conversation we're having is very far removed from when I used to play with Bryce on that team. You know, it was the first tournament either of us had ever been to. It was just on the Gold Coast. We were playing it like Supernova.
Yeah,
like
2014
so it was,
or something.
I mean, even the one afterwards, it was a wild card qualifier, but like to us, that like it didn't mean. It wasn't like this. It wasn't a job. It wasn't. It was just something we did. Like I just finished uni. I was working. Bryce was still at uni. And so success. Did I think he was going to be successful? Like I don't know. Maybe generally, like in some career after he finishes school, like after he finishes uni, yeah, he might be successful. Like Bryce seemed like a pretty switched on dude. But in terms of like esports successful, did I know he was going to win a bunch of OPL titles and become a caster? No, I had no idea.
Well, thank you, everyone, for sending your questions in, and hope you all enjoy your mystery skins. We're going to head to a short break, but when we get back, we're going to have Game 2 between the Chiefs and Avant.
Engage in the bottom lane, that's the combo.
Blinky obviously already used the hop, has to burn the heal, will fall down. That's going to be a double kill picked up for the Chiefs bottom lane. Oh, they actually go onto Raze, has to flash away. That's going to be the Hextech ultimatum thrown down onto the Alistar, who goes golden. And Jake doesn't even complete his ultimate into the back line, goes Big Swift, soloing out Frey. And for the longest time, the Avant lineup has been under a turret. That is too deep. Ryoma and Raze will join it, and that's going to be Pabu falling very low, will fall down. And you can see on the back end, they're just going to toss the Alistar back in. Swiper looking to continue this. Destiny actually will fall down unless he is healed. And what an ultimate over the wall from Ryoma. Blinky will fall down. You can see Buster Shot saves him. And that will be another kill picked up for Raze. See, Swiper hops forward, does fall down very low. However, both Nexus turrets dead, and Raze is just hitting the Nexus. He is not mucking around. Eventually, AV, you have to go or you will lose. And instead, they just lose game number 1 here versus the Chiefs.